All right, welcome in another episode of the Field of 68 2024 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles presented by Unified Healing. I'm joined by former G League Ignite head coach Jason Hart, now a Kentucky assistant. And we're going to break down the game of Tyler Smith, who I'm not going to lie to you, Jason, I do not know much about this kid at all. I know he's 19 years old. I know he's from Texas. I know he did overtime elite, I think, for a year before you got him. Yeah,
2 years.
2 years. Made some money at Overtime Elite, then goes to G League. One of the few guys that's probably done both of those. But all right, let's start. Break down his game for me. Start with his biggest strengths.
So his biggest strength is that he can shoot.
Okay.
And he's 6'10" and a half, right? Lefty. And so in today's era, the reason why you're hearing about him and you seeing him on these mock drafts is because he can shoot. He's a high level shooter, and he does it at 6'10". And so that's what the NBA wants. He's going to factor into being a big who can take the other big defensively away from the basket and shoot the basketball. A little bit about Tyler Smith. He was the class of 2023 coming out of Texas. At that time, he was ranked really high in his class.
Okay.
And so after his sophomore year, he chose to go to OTE when it first opened and developed. So he kind of fell off people's radar. Had he stayed in high school in Texas, he would have been a McDonald's All-American and all this and all that. And so he went to OTE, had 2 years there. And then instead of doing a post year at OTE, he moved on and came to us to prepare and try to get drafted, and he made the most of his opportunity.
So when you say 6'10",
legit,
really shoot it, I'm thinking of kind of a face-up four-man. Is that what he is?
Yeah. Well, I played him at the 5 because in the G League, the 5-man are so big and everybody, they drop, right? They play the drop coverage. So I knew if I put him in a pick and roll and he popped, he would be able to, get his shots off. In the G League, you got Stanley Johnson playing the 4 and Jarris Walker, right? You got, so those, that the G League plays 1 through 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. So, I had him playing strictly 3-point shooting, had him coming off double screens, inverting it where I was sending doubles for him. So 5-man are not used to that. And so he was able to expose the 5-man in the G League, and obviously it worked for him. He gets all the credit because he shoots the heck off the basketball, and he's a great kid, and he's a worker. Kind of shoots the ball like, what's the kid, Bojanovic? What's the big kid that played for the Knicks that used to play for Utah Jazz? He just got traded to the Knicks. That was with Detroit. Yeah, he used to play with Indiana. So it's like you can't leave him. Right. He has a deep range.
Good shooter. He's that good at shooting.
Well, that's why he's on the board, and nobody never we the NBA world and college world, he was going to be a high level recruit. But when he went to OTE, you didn't hear about him, but he still was playing well. But you're hearing about him now because he can shoot the basketball.
All right, so the rest of his game, athletically, can he put it on the floor? What are the areas, I guess, other than shooting, that are going to translate to the next level in terms of assets first? And then I want to go to kind of the areas that you worry about with him that he needs to get better at.
So he's a rim runner. He's the only guy in the draft that got 40 dunks and 40 plus threes. So he can run, he can jump really well. And he has a nice handle. Probably before he kept growing, he probably was a small forward wing. He got a really good handle. And so he's offensively adapted right now to play in the NBA, given his skill set. Some of the things that he do got to work on is bigs playing in pick and roll coverage. I think nowadays the NBA has changed with the way they set screens and move around. So he's going to have to get better at that, and then communicating from the back end, and that's just growing with the game. So defensively for him is where he needs to obviously get better at, and that's just, in that pick and roll coverage.
How big is he? How big, strong is he?
Tyler got measured in Chicago. He's about like 6'10" and a little something. He weighs about 220 some pounds. And so he's a big man, long arms. And so he's flying up the draft boards because the dust is settling and the mock drafts are getting real now. So now you're trying to like you can't really just say anything now. Now you got to get close because you want to be right.
So, do you see him playing some 4 and 5 at the next level? He'll play a little bit of both.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, he got to play some 4 and 5, but like, the 4 man now in today's era is Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? Siakam, right? And so the position changed. When I was in the league, my team, Tim Duncan was a 4 and Dave Robinson was a 5.
Right, totally.
Right. So the game has changed, and
Can he
so
guard? Can he guard those versatile forwards?
no, well, right now that's the part he got to work on. I played him at the 5, so he has to work on that. And then that's Kevin Durant at the 4. So he's
Good
more
luck.
big man. He's more big man with potential to slide over as his feet get quicker to guard the smaller wings.
Whether you are a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross-country travel, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of the Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at one of the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to unifiedhealing.com/unified68 to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/UNIFYD, the number 6, the number 8. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
So he's almost in between, it sounds like,
Yeah.
defensively, where
Yes.
he's going to have trouble guarding the Tatums. Obviously, everybody does. But he's also maybe going to have trouble guarding the Clint Capellas because of their size, the Brook Lopez's, the Capellas, the true 5 men as well. He's not quite strong enough today to be able to do that. It sounds like that's an area, that's the biggest concern for you immediately out of the gate of how does he get on the court and stay on the court defensively?
And that's with all young guys. It's the defensive side in the NBA. These coaches that are coaching the NBA, they want to keep their job. So defensively, everybody has to know how. And again, he will continue to grow and get better at the area. But like the part he got to work on right now is defense, for sure.
Who else does he remind you of? Anybody else? A really
I
good
love Chris Bosh. You gotta go YouTube or go watch. Let me see. He just had his pro day. He's with Bill Duffy and him. He had a pro day. They put out some nice clips of him, and it's some stuff on Twitter. You could type his name in, you could see, get a feel for him. But he's good, and he could
block shots too.
He could shoot that basketball, and that's really why, he's gonna get drafted high. I think he's probably the got to be the best shooting big in the draft for sure.
Wow. Can he? How good of a shot blocker alterer is he?
Weak side shot blocker. He's not a 5-man. He's a meaning you got to guard him with a 5, right? And so say he played backup 5 in the NBA. Backup 5-man don't get no touches in the post. They only said screen and roll. I'm speaking the NBA. They don't get touches. And so all the backup 5-man in the NBA, they roll, screen, roll. Only 5-man that get touches in the NBA is Embiid, Joker, those guys, Anthony Towns. It's only about 4 or 5, right? So all the rest of them either rolling or setting a bunch of screens and crashing offensive glass. And so I think defensively, if you have a shot blocking big, they have to guard him, he's going to remove them from the rim.
Yeah, I got you.
And so it'll open up space for like a Ja Morant to drive weak side.
It sounds like you describing Tyler Smith is like he can be a really nice piece for a team because of his ability to shoot the hell out of the ball at his size. Like he's not the upside of you know, Ron Holland and Modest Buzel's two other kids that you coached last year for G League Ignite might be a little bit higher as far as an NBA superstar if they hit it. Tyler Smith, it sounds like you know what you're going to get in a lot of ways because, again, he's 6'10" and can shoot the hell out of the ball, but his upside might not be quite as high.
It all depends on where you go.
Yeah.
You got to think a lot of the NBA teams, they just like a lot of them don't develop too. So it depends on where you go and what he bring. But he's still 19 years old too, and so he just watch him, man, and please text me. I want you to just go on Twitter and watch him. It's a bunch of highlights of him playing with us. His pro day that he just did. His pro day is probably what set him off. They was probably in there going crazy because he didn't miss. Yeah, he had a really good pro day in front of everybody last Wednesday.
How did he does he put on the floor fairly well or?
No, you got to go watch and see because you may be like, whoa, I didn't, because you hadn't seen him, so I want you to see him. Yeah. Man, he got it all, and that's why for him, he came and he played a lot. But my starting center, we lost a lot of games. My starting center, Eric Mika, didn't play, and I had Izan El Manza as well, and so. He played because he played more because our starting center didn't play this year. And so a lot of my vets were hurt. So I had to, instead of playing these guys in smaller pockets, they had to play a bigger role. And so we just went all out playing young guys, developing talent like all the NBA teams do.
What type of kid is Tyler?
Great kid, very quiet. His mom did a great job raising him. He's originally from Louisiana, moved to Houston after Hurricane Katrina, but he's a very nice young man, and he's going to do well in the NBA because he has a good work ethic and he's a good kid.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch him a little bit because he is one of the few that just never really saw. Again, like you said, took a different path, went overtime elite, then G League Ignite. So a lot.
He was top five, Jeff. Jeff, he was top five as a sophomore in the 2023 class.
But I'm not watching. Listen, I'm not watching those kids when they're freshmen in high school anymore.
Of course. Well, his trajectory would have been, you would have been seeing him at the McDonald's.
Exactly.
Texas kid, the John Lucas kid. So he was in that mix of, all them Texas teams.
All right. Well, there you have it. The breakdown of kind of a mystery guy to some degree, Tyler Smith, coming out of G League Ignite. Thanks for Jason Hart, former G League Ignite head coach, for joining us here on the Field of 68 2024 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles presented by Unified Healing. Make sure you watch all of our draft profiles as we'll break down all of the top prospects heading into the June NBA Draft.